Hello, guys, and welcome to today's afternoon update. I'm gonna have another update this evening, going over the Eastern Pacific stuff going on over there. But today we're gonna be looking at the some of the factors that are gonna go into making a hurricane season what it is. Obviously, I'm not gonna show everything, but we're just gonna go over the basics and all that stuff. All right, so here we are at the National Hurricane Center webpage, and as you can see, there's nothing going on in the next 48 hours, and there's nothing going on in the next 5 days. So that's always a good thing. Um, I'm gonna show you guys something that could change that here very shortly as we go out through time. So speaking of, let's take a look at the GFS. We're gonna go to the 850 vert and winds here. As you can see, obviously there's nothing going on here. 24 hours, nothing really going on. 48, 72, 96. As you can see, there's our East Pack system there. 120, we start to get a little bit of action going there in Bahamas. It's not obviously there's no vorticity there, but there's a little bit of vorticity, but it's not a whole bunch. 148 hours, as you can see, it starts to come together a little bit, but it's pretty odd shaped there. It's the idea that we're looking for. And apparently, the GFS at the 7 day mark wants to have a TD off the east coast of the United States. Normally, I don't go past 5 days, but we're looking at the signs and the trends here. So, every day I'm going to make a video to see if these trends continue, so you guys can see what it is I'm looking for when we're talking about a potential tropical system. As you can see, yeah, that's a TD at least, at the most, not at the least, but at the most, going into the eastern United States. So let's take a look at if the European is talking about the same, thing. 72 hours, we got nothing. 96, 120, 144. Yeah, European wants nothing. Let's take a look at one more model. Maybe we'll get something out of this. Does this have vert? Nope, it does not. So let's go out to said time frame and see if the icon. Yep, see, the icon wants something too at that point. So there's at least two models that are wanting something out of this. So once again, I will be making a video discussion of the Atlantic every single day. Well, at least as much as I can, anyways, to keep you guys informed if these trends continue or not. Right now, it's too early to tell. Well, it's not too early, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. Okay, so here is the Nino 3.4 index, and as you guys know, when we talk about the Nino 3.4 region, we talk about the equatorial Pacific and how warm or cool they are. And right now, we are in a neutral phase of the Nino 3.4 region. As you can see here, March 3rd, we were definitely in a semi decent La Nina year, and then it just skyrocketed up to there, up from there to this, and it's been on a up and valley, peaks and valleys ever since. And then we had a big peak in valley, and now we had another big peak, and now we're going back down again. So now our latest value right now is negative 0.061. Now there are some indications that we may make it back to La Nina for peak season. And that's going to be interesting to see if that actually does happen. Because if we go back down to La Nina for peak season, then that's going to open up a can of worms for the Atlantic to really ramp up in those time frames. So I will definitely be keeping up with this. I may not show this every day, but like maybe every other day I will show the Nino 3.4 index as we go out through time. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at the sea surface temperatures, and as you guys can see, as I predicted, these warm waters are starting to make their way north. So that's already starting. As you can see, there's 26s starting to pop up here. I would assume this is about the 15 line, maybe 15 line. So they're making their way north just in time. This region, the Western MDR and Western Atlantic are definitely prime and ready to go for homegrown systems, which, as you guys saw, may be the case here relatively shortly. So maybe it takes advantage of these warm Gulf streams here that has 27s and even some 28s popping up in there. So that's, like I said, the next week or so is going to be interesting to find out what's going on. Let's see here. Here in the Caribbean, we're primed and ready to go. It's mostly the water temperatures in the Caribbean are mostly warm enough all year around to support tropical cyclones. But the thing is, the wind shear. Um, so right now, it's definitely the waters are primed and ready to go in the Caribbean. And as you can see here, the Gulf is really trying to warm up now because we got 25s now here in the northern Gulf of Mexico. So I do expect this to warm up some some more in the coming weeks and months as we go out through hurricane season. All right, so here's the 7 day change for the sea surface temperatures around the globe. So as you guys can see here, where Yaas came through, it definitely cooled down the waters a little bit. That's the 7 day change though. So these waters over here are cooling down a little bit after Yaas came through. Um, as you can see here in the Atlantic, where it's majorly cooled down in some places and starting to warm up a little bit in others. So this is an interesting look here because this is when you take a good look at this, you're probably saying, oh hey, look at how much colder the Atlantic is right now. Um, but don't let that fool you guys. Do not let that fool you. This is only the 7 day change. So, you know, what you see in the 7 day change may not be what the average is. So, with that, we're going to take a look at the average, pretty much. So, this is the difference from global mean SSTs, and as you can see, the MDR is is cool. The MDR is cool, but I do think a warming trend is going to start up here relatively soon, probably going into June. So do expect the MDR to warm up quite nicely as we go out through the hurricane season. Here in the subtropics, we definitely got a decent warm pool here, and this is going to help determine how well the high is going to be, how strong, how weak the high is going to be as uh, as we go out through time. But here in the Gulf of Mexico, we still have these cold pools here in North Gulf here. So those have been there forever, and every time I look at it, it doesn't change very much. So um, maybe now that we're going to start to go into June, maybe this will make a comeback because now we're starting to get warmer air temperatures, and warmer air temperatures. Yeah, though the Pacific, the Gulf of Mexico and Atlantic are huge bodies of water. The air temperature is going to start heating up the waters, so that's just the way of the world. Um, Here in the Caribbean, we're definitely below average as well. That's why I'm not predicting too much activity in the Caribbean. Um, like the southern Caribbean for the most part, anyways. I do see some action going on here in the northern western Caribbean, but not southern. But here's the most important part right here. This is the Pacific, and you can see that it's we still have a cold pool here of major sea surface temperature differences here, and this is what's going to be aiding in the Nino index, whether you see a La Nina or an El Nino. Um, this is not a good look of a El Nino. This is 100% not a good look for El Nino. So I do predict cool neutral conditions going through the first half, maybe the first third of the hurricane season, and maybe just maybe going back to La Nina for the final part of the season. So that's how I see this running down. All right, as you guys know, I said I wasn't going to abandon you guys here in India. We are going to take a close look at Cyclone Yaas. It has made a landfall last night at some point in the evening. I don't remember. This is located at 21.6 north, 87.0 east. Maximum winds are at 55 knots, which I think is 65 miles an hour. Minimal central pressure is 979 millibars. So not much to really talk about with that. But here's the GFS here. And as you can see, they still initialize this at 980 millibars. It's definitely still a wind and rainmaker. So we're going to go 24 hours out. It starts to wind down a little bit. This is definitely, there's still some gusty winds in it, but it's mainly a rainfall event. 48 hours, it pretty much opens up to a normal, rain shower event at this point, and then it's completely gone with just normal rain showers after that. Here is the European. As you see, this is initialized 971. This is last night's run. Actually, you know what? Let's refresh this and see if the 12. Yep, 12Z is coming out. That's all we need is 48 hours. So here we are, initialized. This is the brand new run. Let me refresh this here. All right, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. There's 12 hours, 24 hours. As you can see, it's starting to wind down a little bit. 992. This is still tropical storm force winds here, and then 996. It's pretty much at his dying breath here. Just it's raining itself out over northeastern India. So still 48 hours to maybe 60 hours. This is still going to be a flood threat for India. So please be mindful of your situation and pay attention to what's going on around you. And once I look at the stuff with the Eastern Pacific later on tonight, I'll have another update on Yas, as this is still a threat right now. So, anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again this evening with another update.